Hello, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to Northtown News Magazine with Avi Myers.
Wouldn't this world be a better place if every single man, woman, and child said, "Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine"?
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that lemon light city, sweet Hope, Chicago. 224 446. Come on, baby.
Hi there, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine with the greatest cameraman around, Sonny Hirsch, and your host, Avi Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine, a presentation of Sonny Hirsch and myself. Dial us up on the web at ntnm.org. We want to let you know that Marty ain't where he used to be. So Marty now is at Frank's Wildwood Barbershop. In any event, it's on Toohey, right across from the Costco over there. And say hi. Marty's a good guy. We want to community policing. Schedule's going to change for next year. Sonny Hirsch is the chairman of the District Advisory Committee of the 24th District. We'll have new schedules out by the next time we film for next year and new setups, opportunities, whatever. So hopefully that will improve in some ways. Excuse me. This is Jewish Chicago comes out before the beginning of early voting, which is going to be in late February. We, of course, always put a major emphasis on judicial candidates to give you an idea of how popular we're getting that way. Thanks in part to my next guest, don't pee on yet, Sonny. We're doing 3 different shows today. We've got 9 different guests. We've got 6 sitting judges, 1 person running for judge, and my next guest is a judicial blogger, and that's kind of how we met. He's in the spirit of Buffalo Springfield. It's called For What It's Worth, and I read it all the time, and he's kind enough to actually put up links to the interviews on the show. And also, he breaks a lot of news and shows me websites that I wasn't even aware of, and I find out who's running and find out more about him, and it's really interesting. And I'm talking about Jack Leyhane. How you doing, Jack?
Avi, nice to see you again.
First of all, my pleasure, and thank you for being here. And why in the world would you want to start a judicial blog?
Well, I think for the same reason that you do the show, for the judicial candidates. I mean, the judicial candidates are out there. They want to get their message out. I mean, I ran for judge twice in 1994 and 1996. I did real well with the bar associations and terribly with the voters. So I went out and you know, when I ran, I couldn't get crickets. You know, you couldn't get anything. So it seemed to me that maybe this would be a good thing to do, to just give people the opportunity to have their message out, to get their name out there, to get their websites linked, and you know, and give voters the opportunity ultimately to make some informed decisions about who's going to sit in judgment of their cases. And that's really what the blog has been. It's been just kind of an opportunity for service for me to create that for people who are running.
And for those people who aren't familiar with it, by the way, there's page 1 and page 2. It's very important to hit both pages.
Yeah, well, when we get close to the election time, there will be stuff on, a lot more judicial stuff on page 2. Page 2, I set up, you know, I reserve the right to put my kitten videos up on page 2 if I want. You know, that's the blog part. You have to have blogs with balls of string.
Well,
or
like the
whatever.
old Lynn Burton commercials. You be the judge. You decide who sells for less.
But right, you can. But page 1 is turned into something fairly serious, and so you know, I've kept it that way, and you know, so occasionally I also put up an article related to actual legal topics and things, but mostly, especially at this time of year, it's judicial stuff.
Yeah, and I've definitely gotten information I would not have been able to get otherwise if I wasn't looking at your blog.
Well, thank you. And one of the things that you know, we do, and I think it's going to be, you know, this will be the 3rd time through this process, and I think it's starting to get to the point now where at this time of year, we're taping this in mid-November, the petitions are being circulated, but they haven't been filed yet, so people are still out there deciding whether or not they're going to run. If they are running, they want to see who they're running against. Right now, I think the blog is getting a lot of traffic from candidates and friends and family, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so they're kind of sizing each other up. One of the things that people ask me is, well, why do you put up stuff about fundraisers? Well, first of all, people ask me to.
Yeah.
But second of all, I think the candidates want to get their information out there about fundraisers, not so much because they're going to sell tickets. Maybe they get some traffic from the blog, I don't know. But also just so they can show, people who might be running against them or might be thinking about running against them, that they're serious, that they've got a real presence, that they've got the ability to run a good campaign.
And I'll tell you something too. Some of the, because I'm getting invitations from certain people now. When I look at the guest list, sometimes it tells me also who's backing who, and who's got substantial political support. We both decided you were going to come on after the slating, and even though slating may not 100% decide everything the way it used to, it's still a major factor in in who winds up getting elected.
Well, let's put it this way. I certainly wasn't slated in 1994 or 1996. I think that slating gives a very good advantage, and I think that the process has been, opened up. You read Abden Polish's articles on the slating process. The last 3 election cycles, he's done columns on this. They've been very informative. There's been
he really has a unique insight.
Yeah, and so that's been very helpful. I think that the party has made a concerted effort to slate qualified candidates, which is very helpful. I think that
they've also gotten a lot more diverse.
yes, there's diversity and there's qualifications, which there's 2 different types of diversity that you need in judicial elections. Maybe you don't need that in some of the other races that we have. Not only do you need your ethnic and gender diversity, but you also need the diversity of experience in the legal profession. One of the things that you have with judges is, a lot of them come from law enforcement backgrounds, or you're big in community policing. You know about the criminal law side. You've gone to criminal trials and sat in on them. But there's an awful lot of civil courts. I mean, the vast majority of cases sometimes might be contract cases. They might not be criminal cases. I don't know. I haven't actually broken down the statistics lately, but there's an awful lot of small collection cases and so forth filed in the 11th floor, hundreds and thousands and tens of thousands of them every year. There's mortgage foreclosure cases. There's divorce cases. Somebody who's coming into this from a background that's been, an assistant state's attorney or an assistant public defender may not have the background immediately to sit in on some of these kinds of cases. Conversely, somebody from a civil background like myself, I've done insurance defense and appellate work and coverage work, wouldn't be able to go sit in a criminal courtroom. So, these are the kinds of things, the kinds of distinctions that unless voters study up, they really can't make informed decisions about who to vote for. And the only, we're trying to give them a place with, your show and with my blog to give people the opportunity to make those kinds of comparisons.
Which is called For What It's Worth. And by the way, that's stuff that I don't even touch on as much as I should, and you're very right about that. And that's something I've learned from people like Michael Strom in the PS, is that certain openings for judgeships are for a certain type of thing that, the criminal, the civil, and within certain areas too. That's very different stuff. And when I see somebody who's not qualified winning, I want to throw up.
Well, I mean, sometimes, to use a W.C. Fields, the euphonious appellation sways the voters in the booth. But it doesn't have to be that way. There are opportunities. There was a site last election cycle. I don't know if it's going to be back. I don't know if they made enough money to come back, but they were actually putting up candidate information from everything from precinct committeemen downstate to Supreme Court judge. Yes. I don't know if they're coming back or not.
I don't know. You know what? They actually advertised with me that year, which was great. And I actually had the founder of eVoter on the show, who actually was one of the founders of JDate, interestingly enough. But I don't know if they made it either.
I don't know. One thing I wanted to mention too is that with the blog, just to throw in a little pitch for this.
Sure.
The blog is open to anybody who's running for office. Now we've talked about the party slating and all this. if you're running for office, you know, I want to hear from you if you're running for judge in Cook County. I don't care if you're running as a Republican or as a Green Party candidate or as an independent, if you can get on the ballot. The signature requirements are so much higher there. But whatever you're running, you know, this is a nonpartisan blog. I mean, you make endorsements for Jewish Chicago when the time comes. I don't make endorsements. I'm not trying to make endorsements. I think certainly I have opinions.
Yeah.
And you know, some candidates I know, some candidates I know well, some candidates I've met and respect, some candidates I've never heard of before. But you know, that's not a feature for me in terms of whether or not they can get their information onto the blog. And I'd like to.
Right, you're doing what we would call straight news as opposed to my editorializing it in the paper.
Well, and yeah, and I actually.
By the
had
way, we are running out of time, so.
Okay, I had a phone call from somebody a couple of months ago saying, "Well, what does it cost to get on your blog?"
Yeah.
And you know, that's kind of a sad commentary on the political climate in Cook County. It doesn't cost anything to get on the blog.
Yeah, I've heard that too. By the way, it doesn't cost any money either to get on the show. So just so people know, it's like one person offered me once, and basically he never got on the show. But that's another story.
Yeah.
If people want to contact you,
There's an email link on the blog for what it's worth. If you just Google that, it'll come right up. Actually,
well, by the way, you should do for what it's worth. It may be Judicial or Judge,
Yeah.
because otherwise you're going to get the Buffalo Springfield song.
that's true, and we'll sing that as soon as the camera goes off.
Right.
If you Google Cook County Judicial Races 2012, it'll come right up on the front page of every search. And so, thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Jack Leyhane.
Leyhane.
Leyhane. Sorry about that.
That's all right, Avi.
And anyway, segment 2.